On behalf of Sheriff Chad Chronister, the command staff, and the entire HCSO family, I'd like to extend a warm welcome as we begin our ceremony. My name is Danny Alvarez, and I'm the Chief Communications Officer here at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Before we begin, it would be incumbent on us to make sure we acknowledge our visiting dignitaries. First, I'd like to welcome Commissioner Stacy White, Tax Collector Doug Belden, Public Defender Julianne Holt, Chief Dugan from Tampa Police, Chief Duncan from Plant City, Chief Vasquez from the airport, Gary Wiseman, who is the Chief of Staff of the State Attorney, our illustrious Attorney General Pam Bondi, and the Honorable Mark Ober. A round of applause for them. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. To the G family, dignitaries, distinguished guests, it is my extreme pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to this special day as we highlight a legacy and cement a special name into our history. When you are dedicated to something that is greater than you, your passion is your calling card. And for Sheriff David G., well, that calling card came attached to some rotors. At HCSO, his love for flying was combined with his lifelong dedication to law enforcement, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is physically represented here in front of you today. But to highlight that, we have to go back just a little bit. HCSO's aviation unit began operating in the early 1970s using military surplus helicopters that were difficult to get replacement parts for and practically impossible to sell. We first used a Hughes 269 aircraft, and later we moved to an OH-58 and finally transitioned to a Bell 206 in the early 1980s. That happened to be the very first medevac helicopter ever operated in this county. This hangar was dedicated on April 26, 1997. Of all days, we ordered AS-350 Bravo 2, the helicopter model you see in front of you today, on September 11th of 2001. And that started our first step towards modernization. It was the Honorable David G. who understood the practicality of standardizing the fleet into one make and one model. That allowed us to easily buy accessible replacement parts and made it more efficient to train the pilots. Today, that aviation unit is comprised of 3 Airbus helicopters and a new one that's on the way. That fleet is rounded out by the Cessna 208 Caravan airplane that you see behind you today. The aircraft are operated and managed by 8 pilots, 2 full-time FAA certified mechanics, and 1 manager, all who operate this very facility 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 a year. The unit's coverage area is over 1,200 square miles, and our pilots amass over 2,000 flight hours each, answering calls for service, doing fire suppression, surveillance, hoist operations, search and rescues, transporting prisoners, as well as assisting other law enforcement agencies in the area. Without a doubt, none of that would be possible, nor a reality, without the vision of Sheriff David G. He believed in the important role of an aviation unit and what it plays in the public safety role and rapid response. But he didn't just believe that. He put that philosophy into action by taking to the skies himself, often being a line pilot. It was never a surprise to hear that 100 was overhead, keeping watch. And that brings us to today, a very, very special moment to honor an extremely special man who left his mark on Hillsborough County, and in this case, over it as well. To do the honors, it is my extreme pleasure to introduce to you our Sheriff, Chad Chronister.
Thank you. Welcome. Warm hello to each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. It's great to see so many friends of the Sheriff's Office, elected officials, and even our retirees. I'm especially happy to see Sheriff David G., Rhonda, and the entire family here today. Today is a time for celebration, but if you ask Sheriff G., you might have a different explanation for our gathering. Our former sheriff is such a humble and earnest man, one who is more about family and less about being honored. We had to create a cover story to ensure his presence. The sheriff may think he's here to see a new helicopter, but knowing this experienced investigator, I'm sure he already knows the real story. As most everyone knows, Sheriff G is an aviation enthusiast, a pilot, and loves the great outdoors. Since my appointment, we have been thinking of a way to memorialize the tremendous dedication, commitment, and love Sheriff David G demonstrated for the citizens of Hillsborough County during his 42 years of dedicated service. Sheriff G was a pioneer and ushered in a new era of technology here in Hillsborough County. His crime-fighting strategies and outreach within the community made the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office one of the most professional and effective law enforcement agencies in the country. A prestige we are all very proud of. A prestige we are very proud of that absolutely is attributed to Sheriff David G. During his leadership as sheriff, he was a tremendous proponent of aviation and law enforcement and ushered in a new era here at the Sheriff's Office. Take a moment and look around. The aviation hangar, helicopters, airplane, and most importantly, the highly trained and skilled pilots and support staff who make up one of the best law enforcement aviation operations in the country is because of Sheriff David G. I would also like to recognize and thank Mr. Steve Mitchell and the entire facilities maintenance team, whose hard work and commitment to excellence has made and keeps this aviation complex looking amazing. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Sheriff G's passion and early vision of what the Sheriff's Office Aviation Unit could be is certainly a reality now and serves as a tremendous asset that helps keep our community safe. Our aviation unit locates suspects and fleeing felons from above and uses heat signature to find burglars hiding in the woods, flies grid patterns to locate missing persons and children, and even serves as firefighters through the use of the Bambi bucket. And as many of Sheriff G's friends can attest to, after a long day and even on holidays, Sheriff D helicopter patrolling the county he's dedicated his life to keeping safe. Sheriff G, we are honored to have you here with us today to celebrate your accomplishments and assure that your legacy and name remains in perpetuity. Sheriff G, thank you. Staff and all the deputies under your leadership who paved the way to a pathway of professionalism we are proud to uphold today. We love you, we miss you, and we are honored to have you here to recognize the 4 decades of service to our county. Your legacy will never be forgotten, and it's absolutely my privilege to dedicate and rename the Sheriff's Office Hangar. From this day forward and forever, the state-of-the-art facility will be known as the David G. Aviation Complex.
Sheriff G, would you please join Sheriff Chronister for the unveiling? Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Sheriff G, would you like to come up for a few remarks?
Thank you, sir. Been a while since I've done any public speaking, so a little bit rusty, but good morning. Thank you, Sheriff. You could not have done anything that I would have appreciated more than this. And thank you for all the good words to all the pilots. I thank all of you. I know when I was working, when we had events like this, there were a lot of people behind the scenes who made things like this happen. A lot of work goes into a morning like this. So good morning, Attorney General. And so I appreciate it. The sheriff was just saying that the building right over there, you can't hardly see it, but that first hangar, the first time I came out here in 1979, I got sent out here, and that's where we worked out of that little hangar. And it was kind of a shoestring operation. And I saw the advantages then. It really occurred to me what the aviation unit, the potential. And I will tell you, when I say a shoestring operation, there used to be a 50-gallon drum that we put in the middle of the runway, and it was nice to keep you warm on a cold night. There was no heat, but it was also good before you went out on a mission. You lit the trash on fire, and it helped you find your way back at night because there was no lights out here. It was really a dark hole. Folks, for those of you who are in aviation, you understand it. For those of you who are not, I will tell you, the helicopters and everything are beautiful, but operationally, they are definitely the future. They make the difference between catching the bad guy. And I'll have to say, for the people who fly these things, when you take off at night, we call it the black hole, because when you look out over Hillsborough County, as big as it is, it's a black, dark hole at night. And I made it my goal to always try to run the safest aviation unit. An old pilot told me when I came out here, if you can't afford to be in the aviation business and do it right, then don't do it. It's too dangerous out there, because all these folks you see, they want to get out there, but the fact of it is, if something happens out there at night and you have a hiccup and you're only at 500 feet, you're looking for that bad guy, nothing good is going to happen. Even with the best training, it's not a good situation. So the program we put into effect was to have modern equipment and to pay for it. And, sometimes you get questioned on these things, and I ask them, how much do you think finding a missing child, what do you think? In the scheme of our budget, it's well worth it. So the folks here that I worked with, and I see some of the retired ones in the back, they always got out, they did it, they ran a great sound unit, and behind the scenes, you see how clean this place is. Always just clean. They believe in that, and they've always had a good work ethic. And so great. Enjoyed this past year being off. Every on TV, or I see the Attorney General, I say, glad pilots, you fly safe for me. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony today. Please take a moment to look at the photos, the historical photos, and especially those of Sheriff David G. We found some good ones, and it took a little bit of time, so I think you'll find them very interesting. To our media partners, thank you for showing up. We are very appreciative of covering this event. Everyone else, have a safe day, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much.